You're watching Everybody's Business. We are asking the big question tonight. What is the dharma of accountability? Can we get the budget that we deserve? Yamini Aiyar, what is the dharma of accountability? You run accountability initiative. You must give us this answer. And why can't we apply that dharma in our budgeting mechanism?
You know, Hindol, if you look at any government program, in fact, just how the system functions, you'll find that at every level, the system is filled with perverse incentives that significantly compromise accountability. There are no incentives to collect information. There is no pressure on the system to make information available. Without information, without transparency, you have no accountability. Every single service provider at the grassroots level, whether it's a school teacher or the doctor or whoever, is accountable upwards within the system. The monitoring will happen upwards. So the state government will hire the teachers, the state government will hire the doctors, and therefore it's the state government that can fire if they fire at all, which in fact in the government system doesn't happen. And there's no monitoring on performance. So you end up in a system where the people to whom the service is being delivered are the least relevant. You're only looking upwards. So, and upwards, nobody is monitoring you. Or someone sitting in the state government is going to find it impossible to go. A district has 3,000, 4,000 schools. How on earth are they going to go around? And the second big problem is that we love infrastructure. So everything that we do is aimed at building inputs. That's the way in which all our programs are designed. The targets are based on input driven. It's what my friend Land Pritchard calls an axis. We like to build. But building isn't going to, and so if you're accountable, you're essentially accountable for the building. That is not going to lend itself to real outcomes.
So empty, hollow buildings, we can build school after school, but there's no teachers.
With the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, you have a school in every panchayat. That's a huge thing. But there are no teachers. Or if there are teachers, they don't teach. Children will come and they won't learn, and as the ASAR survey will tell you, year after year we are hugely backlogged on learning achievements amongst our primary school children.
So it's really goes what she's talked about is really the question of what do you measure. And a few years ago the finance minister said that my budget is going to be an outcome based budget.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you don't measure outcomes of money that you spend, you won't get the information that you're seeking.
Exactly.
And just see it at every. This new right to education bill.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right to education bill is all about inputs. No one is talking about outcomes. You know what they say in this bill? That there are probably about 100,000 schools today in India, which are private schools, but which are unrecognized. Now, the reason they're unrecognized is because they charge very low fees, 200 rupees a month, 100 rupees a month, and these private schools cannot pay you 20,000 rupees a month for a school teacher.
Yeah.
Now, in the government can hire para teachers. That's all right. But private sector, if you don't pay 20,000 rupees a month salary, in which case you have to, if you had to pay it, you have to raise your fees. In which case you wouldn't be for the poor. So here are schools for the poor, which the poor
Cannot afford.
The poor won't be able to afford.
That's right.
And they said in 3 years, these schools have to be closed. I mean, here we have something which is a service being delivered to the poor, which is working in some ways. There are two reasons. One is the fact that they cannot pay 20,000 rupees a month fees.
Right.
And second is they can't have a playing field, a football field. Now, in an urban slum, how can you have, with the cost of real estate, how can you have a football field for the children? So these are some of the things that, our problems in India are we all know the answers. It is not the what, it's the how.
It's the how.
And how do we do it? How do we measure outcomes? This is the thing. And it's really not a question, it's a question really of political economy.
It's a question of political economy. Yamini Aiyar, if this budget is going to be a definitive 21st century new decade budget, what kind of accountability measures must be integrated even as the money spent is declared so that there's efficacy of spending of money?
Well, I think the first thing that the government needs to do is to make an effort to make its information on spending available freely and easily. In all the budget data that we have been looking at, it's been a nightmare because government puts out data on its websites and it puts it in forms that are so complicated that for the ordinary citizen to be willing to actually look through this, they just simply won't. You'll find one PDF file will open giving you one number of expenditure for the same year, and another file will open giving you a completely different number, and you just have no idea. So
how do you determine, somebody like you, how do you determine which one is right?
We've got a lot of grey hair as a consequence. It's definitely not easy, and that's really where it needs to begin. We need to be able to start ensuring that information, which is the first step to accountability, is made available in ways by which the public can actually use it and begin to ask questions of the system. That will create some kind of pressures for the how to begin to get resolved. And I think it's already beginning. We in this country are going through a governance crisis, and people are no longer ready to sit back. You look at any newspaper every day, questions are being asked. That's a very, very good sign. Politicians are going to have to begin to respond to that. We need to push the system to do a little more. And money is not the answer. All of this requires very little money. We don't really need, of course, we're not spending enough, but at least let's get what we're spending to be able to be spent right. That's what we need.
All right, that's what we need. When we return, a few ideas on how that can actually happen. What are the measures that need to be integrated in the new budget so that it becomes a more accountable, a budget, as it were, as Gurcharan Das would say, with dharma? Back in just a bit.